It has been absolutely wonderful to learn new things, and I hope everybody has taken away some really interesting points and discussion topics. Um, I would like to first thank our sponsors, LexisNexis, Thomson Reuters, and CEB for their sponsorship of the Spring Institute. And I would also really want to take this moment to thank Delia, who has taken the time to put this entire institute together and make it just the absolute success it has been. With that, please, if you have any questions for the panel today, feel free to put them in the chat. Please make sure that you have yourself on mute. We don't want to interrupt with background noises or cats. And right now I would like to introduce Sam, and I apologize, I'm probably going to butcher your name, Cirillo. Sam is the director of member and volunteer opportunities at the International Legal Technology Associations, or ILTA, where she develops member engagement and outreach programs. Sam also oversees the volunteer program for ILTA, where she helps volunteer opportunities and experience. Sam, welcome.
Thank you, April. And you did not butcher my last name. It is Cirillo, so well done on that. So thank you for that lovely intro. And thank you, Delia, for inviting me to today's session. So as you may or may not know, this is a repackaging of an ILTA session, the Law Librarians Forerunners of Technology, Innovation, and Data. It took place last month in March. And the webinar explored skills and knowledge that law librarians can bring to technology and innovation processes and projects. So we had about 130 attendees for the live session, and then about 148 views since then of the recording after the event took place. So why am I here today? I'm here to talk a little bit about ILTA and to share how ILTA can be beneficial to you as law librarians. So I want to start off with a fun fact. If you're not familiar with our community, we are a global community of over 26,000 individuals worldwide focused on legal technology in the business of law. We have over 700 individuals within ILTA who have identified their primary job function as actually being in library services or have library in their title. So you are likely a member of many other organizations actually focused on librarianship, but really there's so much more to be gained by also being a member of ILTA. Because our membership is entity-based, there are likely many ILTA members that are not yet members of the organizations that you may be part of. So having that additional professional network is a huge advantage for learning and growing in your career. It can also be really beneficial to see different sides of things, and getting that varying perspective for those people that are operating in other roles outside of librarianship really gives you access to a group of professionals who can bring different focuses in, and it can be helpful at times. ILTA membership also offers you access to a plethora of our webinars, curated content, newsletters, blogs, and online communities. We have over 60 online communities focused on different aspects of legal technology, and they're really active. And if you're not yet familiar with the online communities, people are really excited to help one another solve challenges. So we are often referred to as a peer-powered community. And what that means is that all of our educational offerings are written, curated, and presented by individuals working across legal. So it really offers you additional opportunities to write, speak, and lead different volunteer groups, which can really be crucial for building your leadership skills, your CV, and eventually helping you secure tenure. So since knowing all aspects of the legal industry and legal information and technology are really core to being a great law librarian, is what I hear. Being a member of ILTA can really help show your employer you're serious about the critical role that you all play. ILTA can really give you access to the people, thoughts, and ideas that may not be part of your regular law librarian world, but that can really help you spark an idea or help you solve a problem or even present a solution you can forward to your IT team. So in some, ILTA membership can really help provide another point of contact and connection for you. And it can also help lead to opportunities for you to learn, grow, and develop and advance in your career over time. So I know you all didn't come here to listen to me lecture you about becoming an ILTA member. You're here to learn and grow. So without further ado, I'm excited and have the pleasure of introducing you to today's moderator, Adam Dudinsky. Adam is a knowledge management project specialist and lawyer at Reed Smith, where he focuses on delivering a wide range of internal and external knowledge, innovation, and technology initiatives. Adam is also part of the KM and marketing content coordinating team at ILTA, where he helps shape and deliver educational content for the legal community. Adam, would you like to take it away from here?
Thank you very much for that, Sam, and that was a great introduction. You saved me a job. I'm going to share my screen, hopefully. Hopefully the slides are up now. So I am moderating today, and Sam's done a great job of introducing me. And it's been great being involved in ILTA because there's various professionals across different firms that we help shape educational content. So things like roundtables, webinars, podcasts on a whole range of topics in the kind of knowledge management and marketing world. And this is where this particular presentation came from. But it's all down to really to Fiona, Steve, and Dean, who I'm going to let introduce each of themselves about themselves and what their role is and where they work. So Fiona first.
Hi, I'm Fiona Fogden. I'm Senior Manager for Europe, Middle East and Asia Library Services at Reed Smith. And I work with a lot of vendors and spend a lot of time on various tech projects to try and streamline some of the services that we've got. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Steve Lastris. I'm the Director of Knowledge Management Services at Debevoise and Plimpton. I manage a group of law librarians, KM professionals, and electronic resources professionals. And I would just add that ILTA has been a phenomenal opportunity to really get my tech chops. And most of your firms are likely to be members already, so it won't cost you anything more. And there's a lot of law librarians that are in ILTA. And I would welcome you and encourage you to join.
Great. Thanks, Steve. My name is Dean Mason, and I second Steve's comments about ILTA. It's a fantastic organisation. My name is Dean Mason, and I am the Director of Library and Research Services at Sidley Austin. The main focus of my role is managing our research team globally. So we have researchers mainly in the US, but also in Europe and in Asia as well. So that's the main focus of my role. And I'm based in London.
Great, thank you, everyone. So what are we going to talk about today? I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction, or there's more sort of background, but mainly you're going to be hearing from Fiona, Steve, and Dean about projects or initiatives, case studies they've worked on, where they've been using sort of data, tech, or innovation. And we're then going to look a little bit at the law librarian skill set, so things, skills law librarians have or skills that you can develop. And then we're going to look a little bit towards the future. So the title of this webinar uses the word forerunner, which we thought was very apt because when we met as a group, we very quickly realized that law librarians have been working in tech, innovation, and data for many years. And on the left of the screen are examples of some of those things, or working on taxonomies, or setting up inquiry handling tools and managing those, and working in enterprise search. But also there's kind of newer work streams that law librarians involved in as well. So things like chatbots and data analytics, but many law firms also in recent years have set up the innovation departments or have heads of innovation. And so we're seeing many more mainstream innovation projects that law librarians can get involved in, so one of the takeaways really is that, you know, law librarians have been working in data tech and innovation for a number of years, and people in your organization may not know or realize this. You probably do know this yourselves. So, you know, be proactive about telling people about what it is you do and try and get involved in these things, because you have lots of expertise in these things. And we're going to hear from the speakers about the things they've been working on, which I think will help bring that a bit more to life. So I'm going to hand over to Fiona now to talk about something she's been doing at ReadSmith.
Okay, thank you, Adam. So yes, I'm going to talk about something that's pulling together a lot of data that we had at ReadSmith on experts, judges and arbitrators. First off, I just want to talk about the challenges that we have before I talk a bit more about this slide. The challenges we had were there were lots of silos of information. So it was in different departments. People had a spreadsheet here, they had a list there, they had a mailing list. And some of the information, as it says on here, was internal knowledge. Some of it, they would get an email to the inquiry desk saying, please, can you do a background check on this person? We think they're good, but what articles have they written? Or what arbitration cases have they been involved in? So there were lots of requests. And then there may come another one the next week. And we weren't always keeping on top of capturing that information. And then where do you go to get that outside information when you don't have it internally? What resources have it? And the manual searches were restricted to inquiry desk hours. If they came outside of hours, where could people go? And there were lots of emails going around. A favourite ReadSmith abbreviation is PTI, pardon the interruption. And yes, there were lots of interruptions, and there still are, but it is a way of gathering information. But to try and ameliorate that, we looked at what tech solutions may be out there to reduce the number of those PTI emails and create a single place to search, especially for outside of service hours. And the other challenge is cross-border differences in data. So I've got to add that this isn't a project that I now look after. It's very much looked after by my US colleagues, but there was a lot of input put into it by my London colleagues, recently retired Loita, and my colleague Amy. So it's very much been a collaborative effort to create this tool that will surface the existing connections, because it's not just about the data, it's about who do we know who knows these experts, judges or arbitrators. So as you can see, we've got lots of different vendor information going there. If we go to the next slide, Adam, and we've got an example here of the mediator and arbitrator search. I've done a very, very basic one for elevator. Purposely picked that because our language in the UK is different. It is lifts, but just to recognise that it's a cross-border tool, we do have to recognise that. Due to data protection, I have blanked out some of the more personal details. You may just be able to see some little blue roundels there with a number underneath. It's a hand shaking. And if you were to click on that, it would say which ReadSmith lawyers knew that particular arbitrator. And then you could approach them maybe to get more information. Various documents can be uploaded, profiles pulled together. And it's pulling from proprietary content to Courtroom Insight, as well as third-party sources and also the Reed Smith content, which is why we've got the Courtroom Insight and the Reed Smith logo there. We had to work with creating some disclaimers because of the sensitivity of the data, because some of it is our data, about how to use it. So before the lawyers go into here, they do get a big warning message saying, please be careful about how you use this. This is just for internal use. So they do have data from Dalbert Tracker, and also from Lexis and Walters Kluwer, and they're constantly looking at other content that they're doing and integrating. It does require you to have subscriptions to that content, though, so you may not have access to all of it. If we take a look at the next slide, this is the expert witness search, and you'll just see there's a lot more fields on the left-hand side. This is where we worked with Courtroom Insight on the taxonomy that would work, and it gives us a nice pin down to the core areas, and we can get to the answers quite quickly. So where are we headed with this? It's helped us get somewhere. It gives the lawyers somewhere to go outside of hours. It also gives the librarians somewhere to go to as a first port of call to check. So we're not always starting from the beginning. But it does require maintenance. It does require data going in, and we still have to refine the workflow for that. So it is still work in progress. So that is Courtroom Insight, and I look forward to answering any questions about that later.
Great, thank you very much, Fiona. I can attest it's a great tool, and I know I think usage is pretty high as well across the firm. I'm going to hand over to Steve now.
So thank you, Adam. And like Fiona, we partnered with, I'm going to talk about two projects. And the first one is about a global content aggregation platform that we had used a content aggregation platform previously at our firm for about a decade. But you know, as time has gone on, lawyers want real-time alerts. They didn't want just a push email in the morning. They wanted a dashboard. They wanted data analytics. They wanted graphics. And it wasn't something that the provider we had previously could offer us. And so really, we had to rethink. And we looked at a number of tools, and some of these that I'm going to throw out, I'm sure you're familiar with, but we looked at Babel, Manzama, Convergence, and a couple of other tools, and none of them quite did exactly what we wanted. We wanted a platform where we could aggregate all of the alerts from all of the major vendors. We wanted a platform where, you know, lawyers had a dashboard that they can go and visit. We wanted real-time alerts. And we didn't want to use all of the Thomson, Lexis, IntelliGize, you name it, platforms out there to do alerts. So we actually decided, you know, to work with a vendor to actually create a platform that did all of this, because at the time, this was about 2 years ago when we started our due diligence, none of these platforms could do that, plus integrate our premium content. So those are the premium subscriptions that many of us pay for that our lawyers love to have, whether it's Law 360, whether it's PLC, or any of those tools. And so what we were able to do, first of all, we worked with this vendor for about a year on enhancements to get the tool to work. And I'll go through a couple of slides in a minute. But more importantly, we also had to work with all of the vendors. So there's been a lot of discussion about partnership with vendors. We had to get them to sign licensing agreements so that they understood that Convergence, which is a subsidiary of Bloomberg, would not, you know, steal their content. And so we were able to do that. And as a result, it really enabled us to provide a truly global platform, 10 of our offices that are in Asia and Europe and the United States, and to deliver the content at their starting day of their day, and a dashboard that we integrated into our intranet. Now, why I have this first page here is that we actually built this particular screen which in addition to just providing a global content aggregation platform, we wanted to save time and be more efficient. And what we wanted to do is we wanted lawyers to self-serve so they could subscribe to any of the alert services. And we have over 5,000 alert services and over 200 premium content subscriptions. So the idea was not only did we want a better tool, but we wanted to get the law librarians out of the business of at least the technical services group, out of the business of having lawyers, go into the back end of the platform and subscribe themselves. So what you're seeing here quickly, we created a repository. So we had to create taxonomies that would make sense to lawyers. And so we bucketed all of these different alerts and content into the buckets that you see here. You're only seeing the highest level of the folder, but if you click on it, there are subfolders and subfolders. And obviously lawyers can search. In this particular instance, I searched for New York Times just so you can see what results would come back. And then simply by clicking on the subscribe button right in the middle there, they can subscribe themselves to any of these tools. And on the right, the lawyer gets to see exactly what they're subscribed to. And below, what looks like a faded out gray are things that they've deleted, but are really not deleted in case they want it back. So it was an opportunity for us to really think through and think smarter about getting lawyers to subscribe to resources on their own and to work with this new platform. So if we go to the next slide, Adam. What you're seeing here at the top left is what the dashboard looks like in dark blue. You can see all of the alerts that I'm subscribed to, for example. And so the benefit here is that you get real-time alerts within 2 to 3 minutes. They constantly update. But in addition to that, below that, you see that you start seeing graphics. So we added graphics so that if you're looking and searching for a company, for example, you can see where there's been a significant change in the amount of news for a particular organization or company or individual. And so that was really important to start getting some better data around news and current awareness that wasn't available to lawyers previously. And the third thing we did, and we thought about this, lawyers are constantly looking for business and competitive intelligence information. And one of the things that we integrated into this tool, and we had other tools that did this, was to get company analytics. And so what you'll see here on the right, we have an Amazon.com. And what you can see here is I highlighted the various types of information that are available for lawyers. So not only is it financial information and news information, but they can get to SEC filings and a whole host of other information. So it was a great opportunity to integrate more than just traditional current awareness and subscription services, but also company information. And so what we did in this particular instance is we created alerts for our top 500 clients so that lawyers didn't have to go and search Lexis or Westlaw or one of the other corporate tools to get that information. They could easily get it from this new dashboard. So if we can go to the next slide. I'm going to talk about another product, which I think is really interesting because this was an opportunity for us to work on a pain point that our lawyers had in all the years that I've been at the firm, and that is to find internal work product. While we have iManage, which is our document processing system, it's really difficult to search. And so the benefit here is that while we worked with the IT team at our firm, the IT team was very happy for the law librarians to take the lead on this particular project because we were expert at searching syntax and working with Lexis Search Advantage in particular, and also IntelliGize for corporate documents, which are the two underlying products that power the Lexis Search Advantage tool. And so the benefit here was that we were already familiar with the search syntax for those two platforms that are external to the firm. But more importantly, we were experts at searching iManage because when lawyers couldn't find work product that they knew existed, but for whatever reason, iManage just wasn't delivering the results, our law librarians and KM staff were those experts. And so we had the ability to work with the IT department behind our firewall because we wanted to protect our work product to deliver a new way of searching for work product and then integrating the traditional Lexis Search Advantage and IntelliGize tools to help lawyers when they couldn't find work product that was internal to the firm that we had created. They could then go and externally look for either litigation or transactional work product in those two underlying tools. So it helped us to get more value from those two underlying tools that we traditionally had already, but weren't heavily used. And more importantly, it brought all of the facets, all of the power of Lexis and IntelliGize to litigators and transactional lawyers to quickly find for a particular jurisdiction, whether it was, I'll give you an example, in Frankfurt, our lawyers had no efficient way to find all of their work product that they had developed. And so our IMG investment management group was able to do that because we were able to take facets from the practice area, from the HR system, so that we could group documents, not just by traditional client matter or by author, but also by office and by practice area. And so it was a huge win globally around the firm because, typically we would say that, our iManage system was a black hole. So this was an opportunity for our librarians who really knew how to search effectively these underlying tools. They knew how to teach our lawyers, which was really important in terms of adoption. And it really helped us solve a pain point of lawyers knowing that we had great work product but couldn't find it. So I'll stop there and turn it over to Dean.
Great. Thanks for that, Steve. I think one thing that struck me there is how important it is for sort of, I guess, making something bespoke and the challenges involved with it. So, I can certainly speak from experience of working with vendors and, there's some great products, but actually the challenge is making it fit for whatever environment firm you're in and having the people that can then make it meaningful. And it looks like you've done a great job. Dean, I will hand over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. So first of all, this case study, just to say, first of all, is about a tool that we developed in-house, which is essentially a database of our electronic resources. And I wanted to say that I can take no credit for this whatsoever, because this was actually created by our library operations team, and I would probably be lynched if I took any credit. So I just want to kind of make sure they're acknowledged. So the 3 images on the screen, I think, sum up really well kind of some of the issues that we wanted to resolve with this search. And these issues, and just to add another facet to that, these issues affected the team and our kind of users as well. So the first one on the left is there was kind of many access points to our resources, via our library catalog, via our intranet. There wasn't a very straightforward way that lawyers and other users could find the resources that they needed. And similarly for the team, we got questions about, how do I access this resource? Which particular modules do we have to have? We all know that we have so many resources now that are available in different jurisdictions, that have different modules. We needed a simple way to convey that to the team. We've got 21 researchers and to obviously our users as well. So the second thing we wanted this resource to do is to capture our procurement information. So we wanted to know when this was coming up for renewal, what the products cost. We want to see where there's overlap between products. These are some of the issues that we wanted to capture. So procurement information was quite important for us as well. And like I'm guessing many library and information services, we had various notes, research tips, quirks of the various databases, access points. We're all kind of migrating now to single sign-on and IP access. But sometimes those things don't hold up and you need other access points, external access points. We needed to capture all that information. But also there's some information we didn't want to share, which kind of leads to the next point, which is we would want the system to have different levels of viewing. So we would want it to be able to be accessed by the research team to see some information, the procurement information, the research notes, And then also we would want the lawyers and other users to be able to see the information relevant to them. So we had a whole bunch of needs that we wanted this product to do. And thankfully, we were able to kind of work with our IT team internally to kind of pull all those various needs together into this search tool, which we called Resource in the end, because we thought that was the most appropriate term. So if we can move to the next slide, please, Adam, and I'll show you this was the homepage of the tool that our library operations team created. So this kind of gives you a sense of some of the capabilities of the tool. You can obviously just search for a resource at a basic level. Also, lawyers can see, you know, what's available to them in their region, their own office, and for their own practice group as well. And something we've more recently added is the type of research. So if someone wanted some analytics, then they can also filter on that, which you can see on the screen. If someone wanted an alert, they can see what tools we have available in the firm and where those are available. And the other great thing about this tool is that we have got direct access to it, and it's very simple to change and add items to the various menus. So something that's become quite popular recently is SPACs. So we can quickly go into the type of resource, add SPACs to that menu. The lawyers can now search on that and see all the SPAC resources that are available to them across the firm or in their particular regions. So this kind of gives you a sense of the search facility as a whole. So if you could move to the next slide, please, Adam. So this is a kind of a collection of various different images and screenshots from the tool itself. The large box is when you conduct a search. So if you were searching for practical law within resource on the previous screenshot that you saw, this would be the result you would see. So it tells you if the resource is active, where it's available, the access method, and also kind of, you know, more basic information like, you know, the audience, which obviously feeds into the previous screen. One of the features that we particularly like is the ability for resource to talk to our intranet. So if you just went into our intranet page, which is the image on the bottom of your screens, which we call @Sidley, and you search in the main text box on that screen for practical law, you would get a pop-up to resource, you know, saying here's a link to that resource. And we can also, that picks up any text from the record. So if we had Westlaw, for example, someone was a particular book within Westlaw, it would also surface that content as well. So it's a really great way that users can just jump on our intranet and say, put in the name of a key textbook, and that would pop up. And we also created the branding, which you'll see on the right of the screen. You'll see the two different images. One, the top image is the redirect from our intranet to resource. And the other one is a badge that we created that we could essentially bullet point resources on our intranet, again, to give them the option to click on those images to go directly to the resource records rather than the direct links to the resources themselves, because that's easier for us to maintain. You know, we know that links change quite often. So again, it gives us more control over some of those links as well. And the last thing to mention at the top of the screen is the research team notes. So anyone in the team can go in, add their own note, and that's available for our purposes. So only the research and library staff can see those notes. So again, you know, research tips, research quirks, different levels of access, all can be collected there and dated so that, again, you know, someone can go to the record and see everything, all the information they need to know in order to provide a great service to our users, rather than having to jump from the resource into a library catalogue, onto OneNote or any other kind of tools that we were previously using to kind of collect that information. So that's worked really well. So in terms of looking towards the future, one of the great strengths of having this in-house is it can talk to our other in-house systems. So we're looking at getting resource to talk to Quest, which is our intake system for requests, so that if someone, for example, were to say, do we have access to, and then the name of the resource, which could be practical law, it could potentially then surface content from resource and say, yes, we do have access to this, here's a link to it, and it's also available in your jurisdiction. Because we've indexed and classified that information in the background, we can now use other tools like Quest to kind of surface some of that information, because it's already been indexed and we can pull that through. We can also use it to pull in user lists from our library catalog, which is something else we're looking at. And there are other possibilities as well, as we kind of look to kind of enhance this further. You know, could we allow people to favorite particular resources? You know, all these things are available to us, and we have this great relationship with our IT department, allows us to kind of do these things in stages. So I think we're on version 2 or 3 of resource at the moment. So we're looking to kind of move to our next version soon, which will have some more enhancements. So I almost feel like we're operating as in a kind of vendor way, but it's working really well for us so far. And I think that's probably, to leave some time for questions, I'd probably leave it there. But that's our resource search facility we have at Sidley.
Great, thank you very much, Dean. Move on to our next section. In fact, we've had a question through in the chat about attorney engagement and how you get attorney engagement with the platforms. So is that something anyone's had experience with or got any tips for?
This is Steve. I would say that really critically important is when you get to wireframe whatever the product is that you're working on, is that you do get input from lawyers, because while you think you know what lawyers want, you know, they can be a little bit difficult at times in terms of specifically what they want. So I think getting a group in front of the product to give an assessment of what they think enabled us to make further enhancements that we hadn't even thought of. So especially if you're doing design thinking and thinking that the tool is really easy to use, you need to test that out to make sure that lawyers think it's easy to use, because ultimately in our particular goal, we wanted them to be the end users.
Great, thank you. Fiona or Dean, do you have anything to add there?
I'll just add that when it comes to sharing data, some lawyers are better at doing it than others, and it's about speaking to their hearts and selling it. You have to become a salesperson about the benefits to them of giving up their very precious data and how their data is going to be augmented. And you know, you couldn't possibly go ahead with this project without their amazing data. It can be winning the hearts and not just the tech.
Great, thank you, Fiona. I mean, one thing that struck me with the all of your tools actually is that you've all thought about how people are using it. So it's very clear, and you know, thinking about where, you know, how the sort of the tools are structured. So moving on to skills in the future, law librarian skill set. We've got a slide here which kind of lists some of the things that law librarians, you know, skills you have that you may not realize you have. What I thought would be good to do now is to hear from you first, Steve, about the, you know, what specific skills for your project were kind of essential.
Was that Steve?
I'm sorry, you asked me, right?
Yeah, Steve, sorry, yeah.
Okay, no problem. No, so I think in our particular projects, you know, the ability to develop taxonomies was critical. That made sense to lawyers. So we weren't doing law librarian speak. in terms of our cataloging and all of our records. We really focused on, how do lawyers think about these categories. And so we really thought through and actually got advice from some lawyers to make sure that they understood what we were trying to develop. I would say that familiarity with content, critically important to understand what buckets to put certain content in. Certainly project management, we had weekly meetings with the vendor, and we wanted to make sure this was a cloud-based system. So we didn't have the benefit of our IT department project managers on this. We were managing it. So it was critically important to our success that we were able to manage the project and move forward and meet deadlines. Certainly quality control, because we had to take all of our data from our previous content aggregator to a new content aggregator, and in addition, add additional content that we didn't have previously. So that was a huge lift. Design thinking about what the interface looks like, and would it be easy to use, and so that took a tremendous amount of effort. And lastly, I would say is the data transfer and cleanup. So the quality control is really, really important. The worst thing you can do is put out a product that lawyers are going to start finding errors in. So you really, we really had to have our entire team test out the system, make sure that our data was accurate and correct. So I think those are the areas that for our particular project were really important, and ones that they had to develop with data analytics, especially on the analytics side of the two projects that I mentioned. Those were areas where they were just nascent for many of our law librarians who 2 years ago, we were just starting down the road of convergence and a number of other data analytics projects, tools. So I think that's the next big opportunity for law librarians, is to become experts in data analytics, because we're seeing so many research tools integrate data analytics, whether it's Lexis or whether it's Thomson or other tools. So I think that's an opportunity for law librarians in the future.
Great, thank you, Steve. Lots of really good stuff there. Fiona, what about your tool? What were the sort of key skills for that you haven't mentioned?
Steve's already mentioned understanding your content set. So being able to do a data audit, whether it's internal content or it's the third-party content. Working with vendors, we've done that, but it's taking it to the next level at the moment and really becoming a developer with the vendor. Dean's done that internally in his firm. We were doing it with Quorum Insight as an external vendor, but it's sort of the same concept, and writing requirements documents and sourcing those requirements and refining them and being curious and interested and willing to poke around a tool and test it. Someone who just says, oh, that doesn't work, isn't helpful. Anyone who's worked on an inquiry desk, you need to ask, can you give me some more information? It's just the same with developing a tool and a solution. And it's like that constant questioning and refining and keeping focused on the end goal so that you don't lose your head.
Great, thank you, Fiona. Dean, for your resource project, anything to add that has not been said?
Yeah, so in addition, I think Steve and Fiona have covered basically all the points I was going to cover, but I would just make this point, is that, law librarians, researchers use literally thousands of databases, and they know what works. They know how to search these, what terms to use, what work. There's not a day go by when I, look at a database and think, this isn't structured in the best possible way. This doesn't make sense. So we can put all that knowledge internally, integrating something like resource. We know what works, how we want to surface the information and make sure it kind of meets the needs of our users as well. So all that experience we've gained in kind of searching and surfacing content, we were able to use in our project. And like Steve said, the ability to kind of do taxonomies as well was a huge bonus. Understanding our internal clients and their practice groups and their areas of expertise really helped kind of make sure that the content was structured and indexed in the best possible way.
Great, thank you, Dean. Well, I'll stay with you for the last bit because you went last just then. But looking to the future, have you got any sort of projects on the horizon or post-pandemic kind of thoughts or any kind of concluding remarks? Dean, that one's for you.
So I don't know about the Fiona and Steve, but APIs have definitely made a resurgence. And I don't know if this is more jurisdictional, but there's not another day goes by without someone kind of offering another API. So I think from certainly from our perspective is how, finding a framework for evaluating the APIs and how we can understand how our internal systems work so we can make the best of these APIs and get them to talk to our systems. I mean, we've kind of explored, the connection with external and internal data today. So I think that's something we need to kind of move forward with, particularly as they seem to be more commonplace now.
Great, thank you. Fiona, what about you?
I want to do what Dean's done.
Fair enough. I mean, it sounds good. Steve, what about you?
So one of the things we're looking at is, we started already during the pandemic, is SAML integration with most of our vendors, so we can move away from credentialing lawyers individually, so that because right now we do use Research Monitor to do that, but there's always problems with updating. And so one of the things we want to do is to make sure that we just eliminate the barriers to access to all of the tools that we pay for that are really difficult. So that's one of the things we're trying to do, especially now that I think we can all agree we are now in a virtual environment moving forward, and I don't think whether we have a hybrid environment with some lawyers work from home a couple of days a week and some come in, but I think we're going to have to fully embrace that we're virtual and that print for the most part is gone. And so I think our focus has to be in how do we eliminate the barriers to access. And what Dean is talking about, which is critically important, is the APIs that will help you use enterprise search to search all of the content, regardless of where it is, internal or external. And I think that's going to be another challenge that we're just starting to think about.
Great, thank you. Thanks everybody. I think we've run out of time really. I haven't seen any other questions come in, but if anyone in the audience does, then our emails are there, or you can find us on LinkedIn. Thank you very much for having us present today, and thank you so much, Steve, Fiona, and Dean. It's even doing this a second time around, I still feel like I've learned something again. So yeah, thank you from my perspective, and enjoy the rest of your conference, everybody. And I'll pause there.